In a recent video, Ripito talked about the Starting Strength Coach certification and why it's the most valuable certification in the fitness industry, and also why it's a difficult certification to attain. In this video, I want to discuss things more from a coach development standpoint. So Rip mentioned some of the things that you need to do in order to prepare yourself for the evaluations. And I'm going to give you a little bit more specifics on how we develop coaches and what we are looking for the oral board and in terms of the practical exam on the platform. When you show up to the seminar to be evaluated and you decide to opt in, on the day of the seminar, you need to be coaching at the level of a starting strength coach. So as Rip mentioned, we are identifying starting strength coaches. We're not creating starting strength coaches at the seminar. The day you show up, you need to be coaching at a fairly high level, be able to fix errors in your lifters as they appear on the platform. You need to fix them in real time and in a compressed amount of time. So not like you would if you're working with a client where you have multiple sessions to fix something. This gives us an opportunity to see your ability to cue, to identify problems, and to give well-timed, effective cues to fix errors rep to rep to rep. If you can do that on the weekend of the seminar, you are more than likely a pretty effective coach, and then we take you into the oral board after the seminar to test your knowledge of the method and your ability to communicate the method with clients, people walking in off the street who have no experience with exercise, with barbell training, or any physical activity, all the way to professional coaches, athletes, even doctors, physical therapists, people who really know what they're talking about in terms of anatomy or think they know what they're talking about. So you need to be able to speak confidently about the method and the reasons that you do the things that you do as a starting strength coach, regardless of who walks in the door. These are things that we evaluate during the certification process, whether or not you can do these things. So number one is coaching. This will always be a coaching certification, meaning that you are going to have to demonstrate your ability to coach on the platform on the day of the evaluation, and that is the first step in the evaluation process. Once you've demonstrated your ability to be able to coach, then we do the oral board, and that's basically kind of in a real condensed explanation. It's how we examine whether or not you can explain the underlying theory to the method. And just to give you an example, the oral board is something like, tell us why the arms do not hang vertical in a deadlift. All right, and that's a simple question, and you can answer that fairly simply, but the oral board will follow up, the oral board members will follow up and ask more and more questions to test the depth of your knowledge and into why that actually happens. And that goes on for about 2 hours with 3 oral board members and a representative of the Asgard company. And if you answer the questions to the satisfaction of the oral board, you're now a starting strength coach. So it's a fairly simple process, but a lot of preparation goes into being able to perform successfully first on the platform and in that oral board. And they go hand in hand. You can learn the teaching method, you can learn the movement, and then you can get people moving closer and closer to the correct model. But we don't want you to just be able to coach, we want you to be able to understand the model and why it is that you're doing the things that you're doing, why the model is the way it is, and why that model works to get people strong. So what that means for you, if you're wanting to become a professional barbell coach, if you want to have the starting strength coach certification, the way you're going to have to prepare yourself is, again, number one, by getting coaching experience. Okay, there's no substitute for coaching experience, and that is something that you cannot fake. We're really, really good on the seminar staff of being able to determine whether or not somebody has put in the work to pass the certification. And the evaluation is very simply the people on your platform. You'll have 5 people, depending on how full the seminar is, you'll have 5 people on the platform. Each lifter will coach the other lifter. We do this for learning purposes, so whether you're there to evaluate or not, you are going to coach another person on your platform. Obviously, if you're not actually a coach, the seminar staff is there to help you get through that process, but that's a learning thing. The people who are there to evaluate, the platform coach steps away, and it's the job of the person who's being evaluated to do the coaching of that person without any help. So we want you to be able to coach at the same level as we would expect of a starting strength coach. So it's really that simple, and it's very obvious really, really quickly whether or not a person can actually do the job. Usually what we'll find is that a coach is able to recite the teaching method, get through the steps of the teaching method. Those are designed to be simple to do, simple to execute, and simple to transfer because it's a teaching method. And then a lot of people get real comfortable. They know how to teach a lift, but then they can't actually coach it. Coaching is not only the teaching method, but it's also the communication and the feedback between the lifter and the coach and getting that person closer and closer to the model throughout that session. So that's what actually we're looking for. So again, what you need to do, number one, is coach. You need to coach a lot. You need to coach as many people as you possibly can. The people who are successful are the ones that are coaching professionally in a personal training setting, in a starting strength gym as an apprentice, or at a starting strength affiliate gym as an intern. So you need to find a way to get people to coach, number one. The second thing is to talk about the method. You need to be able to answer questions effectively, and the way to do that is to strip everything down to the basic principles, to the first principles, and be able to build up these models from the basic physics, the basic anatomy, the basic physiology, all of the things that go into the starting strength method. And you can do that by reading the books, by having a general understanding of anatomy, general understanding of the basic physics concepts. When we first got started with coach development, we attempted to transfer some knowledge on basic anatomy and basic physics at the high school level, you know, getting physics books, getting anatomy books, ones that are very good textbooks, and then kind of going through the textbooks and going through lessons, and we found that that doesn't really work very well. So the way to actually do this, and by the way, this is how we do it in our coach development course, the SSC prep course, that's available through the Asgard company, is we take the model and then we expand the model, or we expand the explanation of the model all the way down to the basic level, and now you're learning about moment arms, you're learning about physics in terms of the lifts. So you have the context now. So the piece that's missing from a lot of attempts at doing this, and this is the way I did it, this is the way a lot of starting strength coaches coming up have done it, especially if you don't have a engineering background or a science background. You attempt to learn all these things, you attempt to remember all your high school and college physics, and then try to apply it to what you know, or to what you're reading, or to your coaching, and that actually doesn't really work for most people. What you need is the context. So just like you could read a manual about driving, you could have somebody talk to you for 2 hours about driving, how to drive, and you can get a good understanding of what driving is intellectually, conceptually. But until you actually get in the car, the pieces aren't all the way there. Everything's not fully formed. The ideas aren't fully developed until you actually get some experience. So my point is that what we've done with the coach development course, officially called the SSC prep course, is take the material and make sure that we're teaching the physics, the anatomy, the physiology, all within the context of barbell training. So when you learn about muscles, when you learn about the deltoid, when you learn about the pecs, when you learn about the hamstrings, we're not going to have you memorize muscles and go through a list and do worksheets or whatever. We're going to actually grab a skeleton and we're going to show you where the muscles are and what they're doing in the lift. And that, in general, tends to work much better because, again, you have context and you have direct application to what it is that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. The course is available through the Asgard company. You can do this on your own by reading the books and attempting to kind of do this thing. A lot of us did it that way before something like a coach course was available, but it just takes longer. You know, just like hiring a coach gets you through the process more efficiently. The coach development course is designed to get you through the process efficiently by removing all of the mistakes that we made while we were learning this stuff. So you have to read the books, Starting Strength, Practical Programming, the Barbell Prescription. Those are kind of the first two, especially the two foundational texts. Barbell Prescription is great for application and kind of expanding, but you have to have read the books a couple times. Rip always says that, and it's true. It's absolutely critical that you have read the books. Initially, when you're reading the books, if there's a word that you don't understand, if there's something that you don't immediately know what it is, look it up. Take a minute, look it up, and then come back and then understand that make sure you understand the context. So in the beginning phases, maybe you don't have a lot of clients right now, you're coaching a friend, you're coaching your spouse or family members or a few people at work, this is the way to start it. You grab the book, you read, you coach at the same time while you're doing this, but you read the book, stop every once in a while, If you see a concept that doesn't make sense, just stop there, find some videos on our website on startingstrength.com or on our YouTube channel, find some articles and read more about it just to expand on that particular point that you're unclear on, and then come back and read it again. If you are already coaching and you've been coaching for a while and it's been a year or 6 months since you read Starting Strength or Practical Programming, go back and read those books again. Every time you read them, you will pick up something else that you missed the first time. All right, Rip has a great way of communicating a lot of information clearly. Something that I experienced is that you put yourself into a situation where you have a false sense of competence. So you think that you know more than you know because of how well Rip explains things in these books. So make sure that you go back and you're actually understanding what's there, what's in those chapters and what's being said to you. So really what it comes down to is experience. It comes down to experience coaching and experience with explaining the model, all right? And again, in the oral board, what we are evaluating is your ability to explain the model. And the only way to be successful at that is to have some experience interacting with the material. Okay, and this is another thing that's built into our coach course, is that we will present a lesson in video form. There'll be articles, so there's an additional resources section that Dr. Bradford has meticulously arranged for every single module that has all of the supporting material. So chapters in the books, articles, videos, stuff that's available from other websites or other textbooks that you can read. All of that goes into the lesson. And then you have written assignments. So you're going to write short assignments that force you to think about what's been presented, force you to process the information and regurgitate it in written form. And then you'll be assigned a mentor coach who you can discuss things with. And if you are working under another Starting Strength coach, or you have other people or you have clients, the best thing you can do outside of the course or outside of the material is actually practice discussing the material with coaches, clients, lifters, anybody you can talk to about this stuff. Because presenting the information logically in verbal form is different than writing it down. So all of those are different ways that you can interact with the material, but if you think about it, all you're doing is gaining experience with processing information and then putting together a good, solid answer. The accuracy of those answers is going to depend on how much work you put into the base materials. So that's an overview. That's kind of that's the big picture in terms of how to prepare for the evaluations and what goes into the preparation. For you guys that might not be coaches, this is what goes into the preparation, whether it's intentionally thought about or not. This is what happens for everybody who's going to become a Starting Strength coach. The person who has a Starting Strength coach certification is objectively a good coach. They're a subject matter expert on the Starting Strength method in terms of coaching it and in terms of using the method within a practice, within a coaching practice. That person is valuable, all right? That person is valuable because in general, they will be a better coach than most other people that you'll deal with. And because that person is valuable, that person is also expensive. And the Starting Strength coach certification pays for itself very, very quickly. So my point is it's worth the time and effort if this is something that you think you want to go for. So now that we've talked about the big picture stuff, how do you actually go about doing this? So if you have a Starting Strength gym near you, the best way to do this, in my opinion, is to get an apprenticeship at one of those gyms. So go into the gym, email the gym through the website, through startingstrength.com/careers, and try to get an apprentice spot. That way you're working under a Starting Strength coach. You're going to go through the coach course. Everything through that apprenticeship pipeline is optimized to create a Starting Strength coach within 9 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, but within a relatively short time. Most people take 2 years, sometimes even 3 years or 4 years or 5 years to get this done. So you will see lots and lots of reps because you're working in a gym with lots of members and you're doing it under the direct supervision of a Starting Strength coach. Another great option, if you have an affiliate gym near you, is to inquire about an internship or apprenticeship positions with an affiliate gym. Usually you probably just want to start training there, get strong, and then as you develop a relationship with the coaches and owners, you can inquire about that kind of stuff as well. Same deal. You know, affiliate gyms are very busy. They're all owned and run by very, very good starting strength coaches. So that's a great way to also get through this. We have the coach development course, which you would want to run concurrent with all of these coaching practice recommendations that I've just given. If you don't have a gym near you, a starting strength gym or a starting strength affiliate gym, if you're a personal trainer, you need to start using this method with your clients. All right? You have to remember that people walking in off the street don't really know what it is that you're teaching them, right? They're there for a specific purpose. Your job is to instill the idea that getting strong is what's going to let them achieve their goals, is what's going to help them achieve their goals, and you use this method to get them strong. If you are training people out of your garage, you're going to have to convince people to come and train with you. And depending on your natural coaching skill, your natural coaching ability, you might not be able to get it done that way. If you're a really good natural teacher, natural coach, you might be able to get through this with a handful of clients to coach, but most people need a lot of people to see errors and to fix errors over a fairly long time. So those are the long-term development opportunities. We have coaching camps scheduled throughout the country. So coaching camps on the squat, coaching camps on the power clean. We have, and even just going to a regular camp. If you don't have access to any of these things, or even if you do, it's a good idea to go to coaching camps, go to a seminar, and see what it looks like for somebody who's already certified, who's been coaching for a while, an experienced coach. All the coaches that do the camps and that do the coaching camps and that do the seminars are experienced starting strength coaches. So going there and just watching how somebody else coaches is a fantastic opportunity to absorb a little bit of knowledge of how this is actually done. So to wrap this up, we've put a lot of time and effort into coach development. It's actually a huge part of the business model for the starting strength gyms. So you could benefit from that as an aspiring starting strength coach, because these opportunities are here now where they weren't a couple of years ago. If you're looking for a career in the fitness industry that actually allows you to get people strong and you know, use a method that's effective, the starting strength coach certification and the development towards becoming the starting strength coach certification is absolutely valuable. It's worth your time. It's worth your effort. Even if you go through and you never become a starting strength coach, you will be better than most other people practicing fitness or strength and conditioning out there in the world right now. The process can be long, the process can be difficult, but just like anything that's worthwhile and potentially life-changing, for some of us, starting strength has completely changed the trajectory of our lives. It's definitely worth it.